using our letters after our name, are we?
I think Roger was asking for introductions purposes. Okay, so
Maybe-
28. Okay, I'm going to
slide.
start the live on Facebook, and then we'll get started. Going live. Okay, we'll let folks in. Admitting all, hello, good evening. We're so glad that you're here tonight to learn more about the upcoming training. So people are still joining us. I'm giving them a few minutes to come on in. Welcome you, and my name is Lori Fermella, and I am co-producing this event with the IIQTC, and specifically working with Roger and Rhonda and the faculty, Oley and Linda, that you are going to meet tonight. And we did this training last fall, and I just have to say, it was phenomenal and phenomenal from our perspective, but also phenomenal from the participant perspective. And there was such great feedback. So we are really looking forward to bringing it to a whole nother group of folks who are interested in learning these amazing practices, either for yourself or to help to bring to the community in whatever service that you are doing now for the community. So I'm going to ask you all if you would mute yourselves so that this is being recorded, and you'll be able to view it again if you'd like, but also we're recording it for other folks. And I want to introduce Dr. Roger Jahnke, who, as I work with him, I just continue to have such great respect and such gratitude for what he has dedicated his life to. And in this time also sharing his creative service and what he's created in this world with us. And, that's so very special. I think that's so very special. And we are fortunate. And I want to say, I feel fortunate. And I think most people who take this class and have learned, or, hopefully if you haven't learned from Dr. Jahnke, you will be. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. So with that, Dr. Jahnke, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Lori. Appreciate your support. And hello, everyone. Excited to have you here, and very excited about this training. And as Lori was saying, we were actually sharing among each other the other day the feedback, and I'll call it feedback, but it's really like testimonials from all the people who were in this last training, and it was just stunning. And so we're hopeful about how it'll go for people in the world, and the well-being of the citizens of this nation and all nations. And we've trained now over 3,000 teachers and practice leaders throughout the United States and North and South America, and across into Europe and what do we call that? England and the in the European area. So what we're going to be doing today is revealing to you as much as we can in a fairly brief period of time. I'm going to be going through some PowerPoint slides, and when we get to a certain point in those slides, I will stop sharing and then introduce you to the co-faculty, and they will say a little something about their experience in being trained as a teacher and then actually becoming a faculty member for the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi. But first, we always like to start our time together with ringing a gong of some sort to uh, yeah. So somebody will take care of that. Sorry. Um, so ring the gong to create a portal. In other words, to go from what we were doing to what we are doing now. And I dedicate what we're doing now to the potential for the human race to actually to own the power of the personal power of maximizing healing resources within every citizen's own being. So, in other words, turning on the medicine within, a medicine that you cannot buy, a medicine that you can only produce within yourself for free. Three gongs for three treasures, a foundation of the uh, theory and philosophy of Chinese medicine associated with the earth and the sky and ourselves in between earth and sky. That's three treasures. But also something practical. Three treasures is the body, the mind, and the spirit. And then as an operational feature of Qigong, the adjustment of the posture, the breath, and the mind focus. So three gongs. And then just hold that moment, that sensibility of quiescence and presence. Deepen your breath for another deep breath or two or more. And then follow this thought. The human system produces healing resources from before the day of your birth all the way through to the final days of your life. These healing resources were well known by all the great shamanic cultures. For reasons that are difficult to explain in a very few moments, we live in a society that, for reasons, like I say, that are just too complex to explain right now, but I'm sure you have your own ideas about this, we've just forgotten or neglected or gotten swept up in the idea that somebody else is in charge of our lives and our health, as opposed to ourselves being in charge of our lives and our health. So then imagine thousands of people in communities all over the world teaching their classes, their networks, their online classes, their live classes, doing workshops, giving lectures to community agencies and organizations to support people in understanding how powerful they are. And the most amazing thing about this is not only does that natural internal power that we have allow us to sustain our well-being and maximize our resiliency in difficult and unpredictable times, but it also reduces the amount of time that people waste sitting around in doctors' offices and drugstores, or even worse, lying in hospitals. Visualize yourself as someone who's a part of how a larger percentage of the entire population of the world is just living into the opportunity to be more vital, to be more well, to be less stressed, to need less medicine, to be less of a burden on one's family, to be less of a burden on the healthcare financing system. Visualize yourself as a thought leader and a person in your community who can leverage your fellow citizens to a higher level of functional capacity. Wow, it's just such a, like a thrilling concept. And for whatever reason, not a whole lot of people are very aware of these things. So I'm going to jump to share my screen now, and I'll go through this PowerPoint program, and I'm going to go pretty fast because of our time, but because there's a recording, you will be able to listen to this again, share it with other people. I really urge you or encourage you to think about someone that you know who might actually do this training with you, so that you've got like a buddy in the game and somebody who you can build your local classes with, so that you can have days off and they can have days off. So let's see, how far do I have to scroll around? Here we go. So by the way, the title, the Tai Chi and Qigong Way, you can put those words into Facebook and find your way to the Tai Chi and Qigong Way Facebook group, and we'll probably be putting a link to become a member of that Facebook group into the chat. And if you put those same words into YouTube, you'll find your way to a YouTube channel. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of information available out there that we've been working on for a couple of decades now. And so let's launch in. I know that there are people here that we already know, and I know that there are people here that we do not know. And so welcome to you both, because we all share a sense of the relevance of whatever it means by chi, or functional capacity, or health and vitality and fun and social connection and healthcare. I love this picture on the lower right with Michelle Obama doing Qigong and Tai Chi. So, sorry, getting ahead of myself here. So I want to introduce myself as the founder and director of the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi. The link for that will be in the chat, and I'll just tell you now, it's IIQTC.org. So many years as a doctor of Chinese medicine, many trips to China. I'm one of the co-founders of the National Qigong Association, And by the way, our teacher training is basically the 200 hours of our teacher training is all you need to become a professional member of the National Qigong Association, if that's something that you're interested in doing. And so I'm going to be doing this training with two of our illustrious graduates, Linda Larkey and Oley Smith. So I'm going to stop sharing now and invite Linda to just introduce herself briefly and tell us about her journey with mind-body practice, Qigong, etc. And then Oley, you can jump in right after that. Linda.
Hi there. I think that later we'll have a little bit of a chance to just say, how did we end up here? But I would love to share with whoever is tuned in today that my movement into the world of Qigong and Tai Chi had to do with my interest in research around these kinds of practices. And as an academic, even we're talking almost 25 years ago, I was already doing research in health and health promotion and a number of different areas, but I really wanted to take a look at some things that had to do with how these mind-body practices made a difference in one's mental health, in all the inflammatory markers and heart rate variability and all that fun stuff that I continue to study to this day. And that's kind of how I landed there. But at the same time, I said, well, I think I'll become a teacher too. So I went through all of the, for me back then, almost 18 months of training to get through all the levels. And it has been such a powerful part of my life and my work in my research ever since then. So I'm grateful.
Thank you, Linda. Oley.
Hello, everyone. My name is Oley Smith, and I guess I wanted to get into Chinese medicine and the practice of Chinese medicine since I was 11 years old. And I was exposed to those types of practices through my parents who were hippies, basically. And so, I was oriented to Chinese medicine and those types of philosophies and practices from a very young age. Graduated high school, and then did the necessary undergraduate prerequisites so that I could go to Chinese medical school. The school that I went to, the president of that university felt that Qigong was the most important thing that we could learn as practitioners of Chinese medicine, just because medicine is not an intellectual thing, it's an experiential thing. And so the curriculum was heavy on Qigong. And then after finishing school, being out in my practice and continuing to cultivate in Qigong and Tai Chi and things like this, I came across the IIQTC, and I was impressed by the accessibility of the forms, as well as the format of how to present these forms to the public. So not only the practices themselves, but how to share these practices. And I think that's something that I was really impressed by. And so I went through the training and continued to practice and be involved, and was able to get to the point where now I can be sharing it all with you in this format. So very, very happy and grateful to be here.
Oley, thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go back to screen share. And, as you can see, these are people who have paid their dues previous to becoming Qigong and Tai Chi teachers, and then paid more dues to become Qigong and Tai Chi teachers, and then paid more dues to become faculty. And the IIQTC is pretty darn heavy on the whole idea of getting the right people with the right qualifications and the right, shall we say, characterological qualities to be fantastic trainers. So then, as an IIQTC graduate, we have reunions, and we've done like, I don't know, over 20 years, we've done maybe like 5 or 6 of these. And this is one of them that we did a couple of years ago. We've trained 3,000 people, as I mentioned. And one of our mantras is that we train thousands to inspire millions to heal themselves for free. So let's jump into some of the knowledge base. The IIQTC focus is on what in Chinese medicine is called the 3 treasures. There is also the 4 seasons, the 5 elements, the 6, what are called the 6 levels. 7 is kind of interesting because it's the 4 directions plus the earth and the earth and the sky and the life in between. 7, 8, what is called the 8 principles. The number 9 is huge in Chinese philosophy. The number 12 is big regarding the whole idea of the channels, the yin channels rising and the yang channels descending. However, for people in the world who want to feel better, they're not really that excited about learning a lot of esoteric information. So while we will be teaching you quite a bit of traditional Chinese medicine and philosophy, our goal is to support you in understanding how to be able to navigate a relationship with a group of people, whether they're live or online, or even in your many of our graduates do one-to-one private sessions to be able to figure out how to be able to speak to people in a way that doesn't overwhelm them with information that they don't need. After all, they've got a headache, they've got neck pain, they have digestion problems, sleep challenges. The last thing that they want to do is learn a lot of philosophy, even though that philosophy is embedded in the practice. So we try to do this in such a way to give you to help you to get as deep into Chinese medicine as you want to go, at the same time as understanding that the people that are involved in your classes may not be that interested in all that detail. So let's talk about this one version of the 3 treasures, and you can do it now. Lengthen your spine and lift your head up on top. Deepen your breath. One of the funnest things about breath is that the initials for long, slow, and deep is LSD. So take a nice LSD breath and let it out very, very slowly. And feel free to take as many of these breaths as you wish as we spend our time together today. And in fact, some of the things that I may be saying will remind you to take a deeper breath. Then clear your mind. How do you clear your mind? The easiest way to clear your mind is to focus on the present. The past and the future are loaded with all kinds of complexity. The present is not. The present only just has what is happening in any 1 nanosecond, and typically that is not either something to worry about or regret or feel anxious about relative to what might be happening in the future. Notice that Qigong is founded on the whole idea of presencing. Doing a gesture like lifting your hands and lowering your hands requires that you have to pay attention to lifting your hands and lowering your hands now. And so Qigong is probably one of the most beautiful, poetic, mysterious, and wondrous forms of mind-body practice that have ever been developed by the human race. So I put these links here. We're not going to linger on this page, but when you go back through, you can scroll to this page, and there's a lot of information. at all of these different web pages, and as we go through our time together here, you can be already putting your questions into the chat so that when we get to question time, you'll be all ready to go. One bonus, if you want to stay around for the whole time, is that we'll give you the link for what is called the free Qigong library. So no matter what else you do out into the future, join us for this training or not, there's a bunch of videos, keynote lectures, book chapters, and audio files that are in that library. We'll be giving the link for that pretty soon. And so, oh, darn it, I didn't change the date on this slide. I'm so sorry. This is from last year. So be sure to listen to the voice track for this particular slide. The dates for this coming training, which you may already be familiar with, are in February, late February, I think starting February 3rd. And the unique and very, I think, relatively very positive, and I say relative because we used to do these trainings live. And to do these trainings live, you would come to a retreat center for 7 days. You'd pay for airfare, lodging, and food in addition to the training. So now we can do these online, and then we can maximize the extent to which this sinks in when you come to the reunions and so forth. So it's better, it's less expensive. The first part of this training is videos that you watch in your own comfort zone at your own time, dressed up in your jammies and sipping on your favorite beverage. And then part two is Zoom meetings to which we all attend. And those Zoom meetings are fantastic, and they are presented by the trainers, and you'll see how it goes. Not only that, but we do a lot of breakout sessions in part two where you practice teaching. And it's often true that people say, I wasn't sure if I could do this whole idea of leading a practice, but then after doing what we call the practicum a few times, I realized I can do this. And it's a very compelling aspect of the training. And then another feature is what we call mastermind groups. So as part of the training is that we break down into groups and we look at specific topics, and you get to know each other a little bit better. So it's a really powerful, the format is just, I don't know. I mean, as somebody who invented the original format that we did live, I'm just so gratified, given the fact that we went through a period of difficulty with health and et cetera in the world, and it really forced us to do these trainings online. I think it's amazing. And we still get to do our reunions, which are a whole lot less expensive than being there for 7 days. So one of the other features of the IIQTC paradigm, if you will, is the concept of the 4 baskets of practice, or the 4 dimensions of Qigong: the body practice, breath practice, massage practice, mindful practice, presencing, meditation, whatever you want to call that. So everything in this training is based under the large umbrellas of the 3 treasures and the 4 baskets of practice. And then those all get woven into a beautiful fabric of different practices, which I'll be describing here in just a few moments. So I'm not going to linger on this slide, but you can come back to it. Is one of the things that is foundation of the IIQTC teaching method is that these 9 principles, which are true in every kind of Qigong and Tai Chi and by the way, Kung Fu, and even yoga, sinking, rising, and lengthening, expanding, the whole process of learning how to lengthen oneself, but then also open laterally, purposeful breathing, relaxation, which triggers all sorts of uh, neurotransmitters that are associated with the vagal system and the recovery capacity. Rooting, meaning being grounded. Center pole is the center pole is so powerful because if you look physiologically at the Tai Chi pole is where the all of the big vessels and the neurological system, the central focus of the lymphatic system. So it's interesting that the Chinese figured out that at the center of, at the core of our self vertically, there's this powerful channel of around which the physical body builds itself. Weight shifting, initiating movements from the center, the concept of flow, all these are foundational. And then we go into all of this stuff around science. And the science that we can teach you in the class is there as a way to just excite you to look into these things more deeply beyond the class. Because not everybody is interested in learning a lot of science, but everybody is interested in knowing that you know that the thing that you're teaching them is based on good science. And we'll be sure that you have information about that. And when you come back through these slides, you can go to Google and look up every one of these. It's just looking up mitochondrial fitness is so incredible. And the whole concept of the placebo, investigating the placebo to understand that it's something that can be self-initiated. You don't have to be fooled into the placebo. You can actually learn your way into self-initiated placebo. It's just amazing. Chinese Qigong masters had insights about all of this millennia ago. And so one of the things that's really cool about it is that while Western complex, difficult to discuss science is proving that these things are true, ancient ideas are more poetic and more, shall we say, personalized. And science is often objectified. And Qigong can be, shall we say, proven by objectification. But in the end, what we're doing is that we're using objectification to demonstrate and prove the relevance of subjective insight. And in fact, ancient wizards and doctors and physicians and gurus and master teachers all were scientists, but they were subjectively oriented scientists. In other words, they paid attention to and gave relevance to the fact that they had an experience and that they could repeat that experience and deepen that experience. And of course, that's what a Qigong teacher does, is help a person to have an experience and then help them to learn how to repeat that experience and all the influences it has on the physiological and psychological aspects of ourselves. So then there's this common denominator of energy. In the Western world, the common denominator at this point is functional capacity, I guess you could say, or coherent functional capacity. And in the ancient societies, this was coherent functional capacity, that basically called harmonious chi, harmonious chi. That's just beautiful. Okay, so we teach you 4 levels of the Qi, which you can then describe to your students. The physiological level, which has to do with all of the physiological aspects, but because Qi is considered to be energy, then we align that with the concept of ERGS. And ERGS are basically units of cellular work. And then we go to ions, and the ions in the body are functioning everywhere. And it's interesting, like it's associated with the discharge of neurological impulses. Ions have to do with the pace at which the cardiological mechanism is determining how to cause the heart to beat and circulate the blood. But ions are not physical. They're local, but they're not physical. They're electrical. And then if you have ions, you you have to have a magnetic field. You can't have the activity of ions without a magnetic field. And I don't know even why there's any debate about the fact that a human system uh, expresses a magnetic field, because every scientist knows that it's a rule of physics that when ions function, it creates a field. And so we call this the chi field in the prana field in yoga, or the chi matrix, it's sometimes called. And then there's this part of ourself which is not local. The physical self, the ionic self, and the magnetic self are relatively belong to the vehicle that you are living in, the body and the personality that that body has. But it's almost impossible to argue against the fact that a human being doesn't have a field that is, and we don't even know, eternal, basically. Not only not limited in space, but also not limited in time. And when we look into some of the deeper aspects of Chinese philosophy, some of that comes out. There's a whole concept called the golden elixir of longevity and immortality, which are directly related to Qigong practice. And so when you decide that you really want to go deep into all of this, remember your average student who comes to your class probably not going to be that interested in you making a big deal about the fact that they are eternal. That can get into all kinds of difficult conversations with certain cultural components and so forth. So they just want to feel better. But for you, you might be fascinated, like I am, and like all the people that have graduated as teachers are, about this non-local continuum of being. Now, in a more practical sense, this one, 70% of disease is preventable. Now, notice the date on that. That's 1991. Since 1991, it has been demonstrated over and over and over again that the percentage of disease that's preventable through personal behavior, that is diet, exercise, stress reduction, sleep, hydration, uh, relationships, loving the work that you do, getting out into nature. So, but most people don't know this. Most people think that, disease is caused by some force that, anyway, we won't go there. But the point is that the logic for teaching people Qigong is the fact that they, on their own, in their own home, can prevent diseases that have a catastrophic effect on families and on the economy of our society. And I mean, don't even look at how much of a percentage of the entire cost of the United States to operate for a year. Well, I'll just tell you, it's over $4 trillion. $4 trillion. If you just saved 70% of $4 trillion, that's over $3 trillion. Imagine if those $3 trillion could go to schools and highways and safety and health maximization. The other number here, 8 out of 9, is the same, around the same percentage. It's actually a little higher. And this is from Dr. Coops. You may remember that Dr. Coops was the Surgeon General of the United States back some few presidents ago. And so 8 out of 9 causes of disease are preventable. This is I am proud to say, this is a journal article that was published in a very well-respected journal called the American Journal of Health Promotion. And I was given permission to be the lead author on this, although our friend Linda Larkey, who's with us here today, she and her graduate students did like most of the work. So Roger and Linda came up with the concept, and then Linda and her crew actually created this amazing, amazing document, which is considered by many to be the first really well done review of the health benefits or the research on Qigong and Tai Chi. And so it's very likely that we'll be putting a link to that in the chat. What this found was that there was all this research that had already been done to demonstrate, and this is just the top 3, that cardiovascular disorders, balance, and neuropsychological disorders, which go everywhere from PTSD to anxiety and depression, all the way through to Parkinson's disease, that there had, at the time that this article was published, that these had, neuropsychological had almost 20 really well done studies. Balance and falls prevention had over 20 well done studies proving that Qigong and Tai Chi are safe and effective. Cardiovascular disease had over 25 studies at that point. And just kind of an interesting little side on this is that so that covered a period of about 20 years, and that was about 75 to 80 studies. In less than 5 years after that publication, there were twice as many studies. So the point is that on an annual basis, the amount of money, time, effort, and money, time, effort, focus, etc., of universities typically who are doing these very, very expensive, high quality studies are increasing on a regular basis, which basically suggests that our society has an increased interest in demonstrating that Qigong and Tai Chi are relevant, safe, and effective. So what are the benefits of becoming a Qigong and Tai Chi teacher? Well, for yourself, of course, your own personal health, and the interesting feature of developing a discipline in your life. And I think that when I say the word discipline, you probably freak out a little bit, but then as a teenager, you hated the idea of discipline, but then as an older person, you've realized discipline might be like the secret to everything. So, for yourself, and then for yourself also, livelihood and advancing in your professional status. For the learners, communities, and populations are all benefiting these physiological, psychological, and even transcendental benefits have a huge impact. Just think of one impact, and that is that because a person learns Qigong, they learn to presence, meaning to be less reactive. So then, how many families would love it if more of the members of that family were less reactive? It's like a miracle in a way. For society, the benefits are personal, familial, communitarian, for your city, for your state, for your nation, and the world. I mean, how much of a problem would it be if all the decision makers in the world were actually doing Qigong? Like no problem, and a great benefit. Economics and politics, dollars, we talked about the dollars, and the greater potential for peace, and for the world, of course, the whole idea of more vital citizens. I just feel so sad for people in societies. I have a good friend in China who just sent me an email, one of the first emails I got from her in many years. Why? Because she was locked down in her apartment for years, and now she's kind of allowed out, and she's less afraid to send an email to somebody in the United States. And that's where Qigong came from. I don't know. It's just a very complex world we live in. Who and where are the IIQTC graduates? Who? Anyone starting a new career. And then this is a list of all the types of people that we've trained as teachers: librarians, salespeople, athletes, coaches, physicians, acupuncturists, and the list goes on. And then where are these people? Where are they doing Qigong? Schools, universities, hospitals, clinics, social service agencies, community centers, faith institutions, veterans facilities, spas, fitness centers, stress mastery programs, even golf clubs. Quite a few, actually, of our graduates work with people who are trying to improve their golf game. Corporations, and we're closing in on the conclusion of these slides. International, what are the keys to the value or credibility of the IIQTC? Well, the IIQTC is recognized internationally as one of the most credible training and research organizations outside of China. The leadership of the IIQTC, you can see by the quality of the faculty, and Lori, who's our producer, and Rhonda, who's the administrator at the IIQTC, these people are oriented, they know what they're doing, they're service oriented, they're responsive. It's very powerful. The roots of the II go deep, but they don't go just into one root, because integral means many streams coming together. So the mainland Chinese streams, the Taiwan streams, the new era streams of mind-body practice and so forth, the science, the objective science of all these things are a part of the roots. Our training methods are well known to be very efficient and so forth. Teaching methodology, we are going to teach you and you are going to love it. Why? How do I know that? Because we've trained 3,000 people and the complaints are at around zero, and the people who are thrilled with what they've gained personally and professionally is huge. We actually continue to be participating in research, publishing, strong professional alumnus. We have a Facebook group that all of our graduates are part of, a Facebook group that has pretty close to 1,000 people in it. We communicate with graduates on a regular basis. We have advanced leadership training. That's how people become part of the faculty. We have continuing education and web resources, lots of web resources. And there's a specific portal on the web for you in which all of these videos and everything that we're going to be doing in the training is included. You will learn the foundations, a wide array of dynamic and moving practices and quiescent practices, and the 10 levels of Qigong, of Qi cultivation and mastery, which is associated with a book that I wrote at one point called The Healing Promise of Qi, at the 9 phases of personal practice and the 10th phase of Qi transmission, relationship between Qi, prana, chakras, energy systems, the quantum, all that, the healer within, Qigong for the millions. So the idea with healer within medical Qigong, which many of you have had some exposure to, is that it's the easiest entry place. So, and you can learn much more about the curriculum by going to IIQTC.org. Teaching simple methods, modify the practices for special clinical situations, initiate and manage classes, workshops, and private sessions. That is very powerful. So our graduates do all of those things. They have recurring classes, online and live. They do workshops and they do private lessons. And not everybody makes this into their total career, but some people do. And it's very, very gratifying. Resources to help you manage your marketing with your business, web-based support, free membership site, as I described. We're going to give you the address for that here in just a moment. And so level 1 is the one we're talking about now, and we've talked about it pretty thoroughly. So I'm going to go on to the rest of all of this, and like, what is it that you're learning? And so we're going to learn about the Taoist medicine wheel, which is just one of the most profound forms of Qigong, based on the seasons, and you can incorporate the Taoist medicine wheel with animal Qigong, very powerful. And as you can see, I'm kind of zooming through this because we want to get to I don't know which one of these slides to linger on for which of you. So that's why you're going to get a recording. So these are the methods, vitality enhancement methods. That's healer within medical Qigong, called Buzhong Qigong, 9 phases integral Qigong, as I described a moment ago, 7 precious gestures, a very powerful story about the nature of life and how to be able to lighten the heart and flourish. Connective tissue transformational practice, which is also sometimes called tendon changing practice. Guolin Qigong, which is a method that was developed in China. It has a very specific breath practice that goes with this that you will be learning. Marrow bathing, the Taoist medicine wheel, we just talked about that. And I don't know why. Connective tissue and connective tissue, it's here twice. So I guess we'll have to focus on that. Okay, you are enabled, encouraged, informed, and inspired to begin teaching following the training. And in fact, you can even begin teaching while you're doing the training. So this isn't one of those courses where you have to wait until the whole course is over before you take an action. And in fact, we suggest that you begin teaching as soon as possible. Now this goes to level 2, which I'm not going to linger on, but it's basically the portion of the training that goes to Tai Chi. And this is pointing to level 3, which is an advanced integral Qi cultivation, which is out ahead for us all. And so I won't linger here now either. as a teacher, we've talked about all this stuff. So if you're on the fence about, shall we say, joining us for this training, then you're going to want to go back and look at these slides and read everything. I don't want to hold you all up by reading everything now. But there's a lot of information in these slides about what you will receive and how it all works. This is just one. This is just one testimonial. We have this big long list of testimonials. I don't know if we've sent this to you yet, but maybe what we'll do that. We'll in the email that gives you the recording, we'll include the testimonials from the last class. But I love this. There's just something warm and special and loving about the IIQTC tribe. I love being a part of it. I love being in the presence of it. The resonance is like a warm embrace. And yeah, and Sarah, someone that I haven't really seen for a while, but is someone that's a teacher and works with veterans and so forth. So notice that we've been to China. I'm not sure we'll be going to China again. It's like the communication line is open now, which is, it hasn't been for the past 3 years. And this concept of a reunion, it's just, I don't know, it's just so incredible to get to come together with the people who've graduated from these trainings. And we're thinking about doing a reunion with level 2, which is looking like it'll probably happen in the fall. Okay, so here's some details. There's the link, and you want to go to the training calendar, and then everything is there. Click through to all the information about the training, including the detailed dates and times for each portion. So we're starting on February 23rd, and there are some very important dates. They're in the information page. But the thing that I want to be sure that you understand is that for the early registration and for the payment plans, they are date limited, and so I think maybe Rhonda will put something into the chat about those particular dates. Notice that the phase 1 videos, you review those on your own time. The phase 2 videos are released with each of the phases. The 3 phases of the training happen, or modules happen, there's a training module, and then there's a space of a number of days, up to 10 days at some point. Then there's the next module, and then a space of a number of days. So the idea there is that you get to integrate between the modules, which is very powerful, and it's not something that we used to be able to do at the live trainings. So then, just so you get a sense of the dollar value, if we take the videos from part 1 that you watch on your own, those videos, if they were kind of available in the world, shall we say, would total up to around $1,000. And then there are 2 additional elective video series which you don't have to watch, but you can, and because you have access to these videos for the rest of your life, you can come back to them early. That's $600. And then to everybody who graduates from our trainings, we give free access to what we call the Breath Medicine Video Library, which is $179. So the videos alone are $1,679. So think of it, if you wait until the last minute and enroll for $1,700, you're practically getting the training itself for free. So different people think about these things in different ways, but that's one of the ways to think about it. Be careful about this payment plan option and the payment plan option and the end of the early bird option, because those are all coming up very soon. And then consider the possibility of inviting someone that you know to come to this training with you. And now you've got a buddy who can take over your classes when you want to take a couple of days off, someone to be a learning buddy with. Okay, so here's the free bonus, and Rhonda's going to put this address into the chat for you. And basically, it's, as I said, it's keynotes, videos, documents, there's some music there. And then also be sure to take a look at the YouTube page. Got over 40,000 subscribers. That's the Tai Chi and Qigong Way. And one of the videos there has got over 2 million views. And also consider joining the Tai Chi and Qigong Way group at Facebook. All right, Q&A. So I'm going to drop back to join you. And if you've been putting your questions in as we go, that's great. Or we can just do that however you wish. And I know that there's probably a question or two that's on top. I see that there are 82 new messages.
Yes, Roger, there's a question I want to clarify. There was a lot of questions about
Sure.
Missing the live Zoom sessions. And how that works is there's for each module, there is a Thursday evening training, 2 hours, then the Saturday 3 hours, then a Sunday 3 hours, and then about 10 days later, the final module training for 2 hours. If you miss a session, or you can't miss more than 6 hours in a module. And so I want to clarify that. If you miss more than 6 hours in a module, then you need to work with IIQTC to determine how you're going to make that up. But if you miss under 6 hours, then there will be an opportunity for you to attend a makeup session with a faculty member where you'll need to review the replays of the date that you missed. And then you know, there's a discussion and you'll need to do a practicum. A huge part of this training is you practice teaching. And so that's why when you miss that, you know, you miss that. And so we want to give you the opportunity to do that. Those makeup sessions, so there's going to be a makeup session scheduled for each module. And so anyway, and that one makeup session is $120. So let's say you miss one of the trainings in module 1, you would need to attend that makeup session. Then in module 3, something comes up and it's like, oh, I'm going to miss, you know, one of the sessions in module 3. You would need to attend the makeup session for that and then pay another fee of $120. So that is required for you to get your certificate. And so, yeah, if you miss and you don't care about getting a certificate, then that's your choice. You will have the replays to continue to learn, to continue to apply it. But we certainly, you know, have the intention for all of you to get your certificate. So I hope that clears things up.
Thank you. That's great.
And if
What
there's
else?
any other questions, please put your hand up so that we can, I think we've been answering a lot of the questions in the chat, but if there's, you know, one we missed, please raise your hand and then we'll, Rhonda?
I just, excuse me, I just wanted to say if there are any people in this Zoom room and you've got previous certification with the IIQTC, we have discounted rates that aren't necessarily affected by the early reg rate. Like I know there's a couple of Healer Within practice leaders in the Zoom room. I'll send you that, but if I don't know who you are, just drop us an email and I'll make sure that you get that information. The pay plans still expire February 4th on all types of registrations. It's only the public registration, early reg expiring on February 9th. That the price will actually go up. So I just want to put that out there.
I want to just jump in here because there's been a lot of those kinds of questions going on in the chat. And I apologize. My understanding was you could only miss one session and you would make it up. But I did not understand that there would be, Lori, you said 6 hours per module. So you're saying you could miss 6 hours of the first module, which is about 12 hours. Well, something like that. Maybe 12, yeah, less than that. And then again, you could miss 6 hours in another module and then 6 hours even in, sometime in April.
What do you?
You said 6 hours per module. So you could be missing 2/3 of the program and make it all up.
Yes, they could, because we have the replays and then there's the makeup session.
Okay. Then my apologies to those of you that I said I understood. I understood
That's okay, Linda.
this one session per level, like this whole level that you could only miss one. So totally missed that one. And I do apologize. I just wanted to make sure. So people that were listening to the chat, if they were hearing this differently, it was clearer.
Great. Thank you.
There was also another question about, does this training go broader than, say, a Healer Within Practice Leader? Yes, it definitely does. It's 65 hours now. It's a 65-hour training, the first third of 200 hours. So you're going to be getting more forms of Qigong and also learn to lead those practices as well.
Okay, Laurel Herman has a question.
I still, sorry, I don't understand the scheduling and the missed sessions. Oh, sorry, sorry. And I guess that dovetails with those of us who have already become practice leaders. I had the good fortune to study with Roger at Kripalu for 7 days. So, but I would love to take this course because I take everything Roger teaches and have a great practice. But like most people, I'm scheduled months in advance, so I know that there's a few that I wouldn't be able to make. So how does that work? Because I apologize, but I'm still not clear on this. And if you miss, let's say 4 sessions, is that $120 each time? Because that gets pricey.
Well, the most that you would pay is because there's one makeup session per module that's being offered. And so so let's say you missed a session for each module. Yes, then you would need to pay what is that?
Qigong, try to get a free class of missed the whole thing. I want to see if there was something important, but I don't think it is. Trying to sell something, I think.
Rhonda will get that. Okay. Yeah, so let's do it this way. I know it's a little complex, and Laurel, I remember you, very well because I've seen you many times. People have question like, if I ever went to a workshop with Dr. Jahnke at Omega Institute, do I get a discount? No. If you went to a workshop where it was actually a training, so in other words, not a public workshop, but a professional training, then yes. And I think that Rhonda will support you in how to, well, first of all, if you've been in a training like that, either as a Healer Within Practice Leader or a Tai Chi Easy Practice Leader, you have already received an email with the specific link that includes the discount for you. And if you have additional questions, I think that Rhonda will probably put her email or something, a way for you to be able to clarify, because what we don't want to do is linger answering this question, a variety of ways, and then still have confusion. So what'll happen is that if you reach out to get that information by email, then we will have a specific written policy that will stand, and that'll be that policy. What, you know, whatever. I'm not sure of the details, and I think we've already had at least 3 versions. So why don't we just wait for the printed version? And it may actually be written someplace in the literature already, so I'm not sure. But there you go. There's a phone number. If nobody answers that phone, leave a message and someone will get back to you. We're really excited about having you there. So before we leave, and I know we're like a few minutes over, before we leave, just want to go back to Oley and Linda. Let's go ladies first. Linda, anything that you want to say before we go? Mute.
I think what I had really hoped that I'd get a chance to share was the incredible experience of going through all 3 of the levels over time. And I know that this session that we're talking about now is to introduce you to level 1. But I'm grateful that in your slides, Roger, you did process kind of like, and then here's what happens in level 2 and level 3. And I had already been taking sort of, you know, Dr. Jahnke has a discussion he has around Tai Chi hard versus Tai Chi easy. And level 2 is the Tai Chi like practices that have been boiled down to some very simple movements, and yet still get people to learn how to assemble different Tai Chi like movements into a flowing series. And then the level 3 is a completely different experience beyond all of those 2. But the reason I'm mentioning this is that starting with Qigong, primarily with Qigong moves, is such a powerful way to get instantly into the practice, whether you have already done that kind of work or you're teaching it to other people. I have found over and over that those researchers I work with who work with Tai Chi hard as opposed to Tai Chi easy are jealous of how much the work that the standard program that I work with out of the baskets of practice in Tai Chi easy, or mostly the Qigong that we're working with in level 1, gets people instantly into that flow state and immersing themselves in the Qi. And so I am encouraging anyone to think about all 3 levels to get the whole, you know, the whole kahuna. But this level 1 is probably the most powerful of all, to be able to instantly walk back out in the world and take an incredible number of practices with all the knowledge you get behind it right away.
Thank you, Linda. Looking forward to collaborating with you. And Oley, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think if you are someone who feels like you want to make a difference for yourself in your own life and make a difference in the world, then this methodology of Qigong and this program in a teacher training, I think, is ideal for doing that. You know, if grounded, clear-minded, heart-centered people is a resource, then, you know, it's possible, it seems really, that we may have a resource deficiency on the planet. And so why not participate in making up the deficit that's there by accessing what we all have available to us already, our bodies, our breaths, our minds and consciousness. We can come together as a group and channel that and really make effective, positive change for ourselves and for the world and the cosmos as a whole. So if you take nothing else away from this whole meeting, just know that is something that we all have the ability to do, and that's what the IIQTC, that's what the mission is.
Thank you, Oley. And then Lori, would you be our concluding words? And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yes. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Oley. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you all for taking time to be here, for your questions. It helps everyone to better understand. Rhonda put her email into the chat, so if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. She's always so helpful. And many blessings to you all. We hope to see you in the training. And if not this one, sometime in the future, but we hope it's this one because we're excited. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
wonderful evening.
Take care.
Yeah, bye for now.